second resolution rather than the chair. May I ask for those in favour? Anyone against? I declare the resolution carried. The second resolution is to do precisely the same, but this time to allow the directors to issue the shares for cash. I don't propose to read it under the circumstances. Are there any questions on this resolution?
Will there be the opportunity, will this be presented on a primary bid basis or not?
As I said, we haven't got any specific allocation for it.
Okay.
The use of it is still unknown, whether it be for security, for debt finance, or provide collateral security additional to an off-take financier, whether it be for a cash consideration for us to do it ourselves. These are still points that are, as I said, unresolved. We're in the hands of the debt providers. Alternatives, I'm sure that there were some questions afterwards that may bring things more to light. But as I said, there's no intended use for it at this point in time. It's just there as a general headroom to replace the one we use for to pay our burden.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
In that case, if there's no specific need for this, and we're seeking for approval.
I'm sorry.
What I'm saying is
Could
that,
you shout, please?
what I'm saying is that the resolution, there's no specific need for this, and we are just seeking for approval. Why can't you wait until time you need it, so that you come back to the shareholders to get approval? Because it's like giving you a blanket check, and can be waiting for anybody.
Well,
Can I answer that, Mr. Chairman?
yes, well, please.
Historically in the company, when there was no headroom available for the directors to move the company forward, every time we call a general meeting to ask for shares in the event of requirement, we had a massive share drop in anticipation of a placing. This actually restricts the growth of the company by not having it, and it's common practice to have at least 30% of your headroom on AIM available to the directors for the use for the advancement of the company. So this is here as a precautionary measure to enable the company to grow should it need it. So it's there. Almost every AIM company has an average of 30% renewed annually of its headroom to allow it to grow. That's part of the reason we're on AIM, is to be able to grow a company.
So does that mean you're going to use the headroom as soon as we give you the authorisation?
At the moment, we've said that we're not using the headroom.
Okay.
It's there as a stopgap measure in the event. And it's a normal practice. It's actually been quite destructive for the company not having it in the past. And we did get it at the previous meeting. We used that money to take out Bergen at the request of shareholders and for the advancement of the company for various reasons. And now we've got this here as a buffer for the company to be able to be secure and safe.
Effectively, therefore, we're replacing what we used for Bergen.
Yeah.
Authority. This was a Bergen authority. In accordance with the Bergen agreement, we had to have this number of shares available for issue. That's fallen away when we repaid Bergen, which I hope all shareholders were happy with.
Very much so.
If there are no more questions, may I propose that resolution and ask for those in favour? Is anyone against?
No? Are you sure about that one? Okay, slow infraction. We're not sure if you're in favour and against, you're on the fence.
That concludes the formal business of the meeting. I should have said we have Eric Dyack, who is in South Africa, on the speakerphone if anyone has a question for him. But may I now throw the meeting open for general questions, please.
Yes, Mr.
I recall 2 years ago we were talking about the prospect of the share price going up to 2p. And of course, that would have meant that all the recent problems of the shareholders being diluted would never have happened.
Correct.
So one of the key questions is, it's not very clear from this exactly how much money you need to get the BPP share and the diamond mining operation started. Are we talking 2, 3, 4 million? And could you get a loan? I see in one of the points here that you are talking to a third party. You know, there must be plenty of people who've got 2, 3, 4 million that you could do a deal with. But are you able to get a loan rather than diluting shareholders?
Well, there are several answers to that question. One is, yes, there is the availability of loan. There is also the availability of equity partners. There is a lot of historical legacy issues that have been quite prohibitive for us to enable us to do so up until this point of time. The board is working very hard along with its strategic partners and financial partners to, let's say, rebalance the balance sheet or clean it up to enable us to finalise what we're proposing. But we would prefer to go with debt rather than equity, because we believe equity at this point, giving away equity in these two transactions, will be hugely diluted, even more so to the shareholders, the amount of money that's required. So, hopefully that answers your question.
But you didn't say how much.
Because it's not in the public domain, I'm not at liberty to say.
You're not allowed to say.
Not allowed to say.
But clearly, you do need 2, 3, 4 million.
It could be more, it could be less.
And you have to specify which currency you're talking.
Exactly.
You're talking GDP.
I mean, each one of these projects is, each one, as you mentioned, BP and the potential diamond project, each one of them are company makers in their own right at various levels, one being much more than the other. So, and to enable us to do those, it requires a certain amount of investment. That certain amount of investment is being earmarked from debt facilities primarily, and potentially with equity contribution to allow the debt to go through. So this is enabling us to do those
Can I
transactions.
ask just one final question? Do I assume that the Zimbabwe operation is still cash positive?
Well, I mean, this depends on how you look at it. As a standalone business, yes, but for vast shareholders and investors, no. The deals that were structured historically allowed all of the positive cash to go back into the business for expansion.
Yeah.
So the net benefit to the company, the vast standalone, as a cash contributor, it's non-existent and won't be for many years. So this is part of the things that we're considering as a board and as, to reassess to see how we move forward in Zimbabwe on a global sense.
But I think we could say that would not be the position we believe if the diamonds get going.
No,
it would be a
it's
completely different
completely different. I mean, the diamonds would be free to do as we please with our profits. And the discussion with the community is that there is an annual distributable profit regardless that must be adhered to a minimum of 50%. And the new laws within Zimbabwe with the foreign currency accounts being established on 15th of October, and the new SEC, the new special economic zone, which allows you to have offshore accounts. It's now in legislation. There are companies already being approved. We're applying for the same regulatory ability. So the ability to move money in and out in Zimbabwe with the new government is extremely fluid and available to foreign investors. So, as with if and when the diamonds come through, it'll be on a different basis. We will be in control of our own destiny. We won't be beholden to anybody.
Yes.
So I suppose that SSGI have got no claims on the diamonds at all?
Well, technically at this point in time, they have right of first refusal under the existing contract, but that may change.
That's right, first the refusal for funding, Andrew.
Funding,
So
yes,
that's
for
as
funding.
per 2 years ago, first
Yeah.
strictly.
But as you know, this is time-consuming effort to move around that particular clause in the contract. So we're now
Of
considering
course,
our position.
it doesn't give them an absolute right.
No.
No, there's nothing to do with the dams as such, it's funding for the dams.
Exactly.
Just gets in.
But anyway, it's only to match whatever we could get elsewhere.
So if you get the funding yourself, you don't need SSGI, they have no claims on the diamonds?
Correct.
Basically. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Andrew, what have you been up to in Zimbabwe recently?
Sitting in the sun.
Sitting in the sun, can't you tell? No, look, I was there obviously to discuss with SSGI the current position. I was there discussing with relevant authorities regarding the diamond matters. I was there talking to the heritage community and moving forward. There's been some indication in the press that would be that things are advancing. So it was, in my belief, an extremely successful trip.
Do you have any updates on any of the Zimbabwe assets?
We do,
So we
and
got
they will
gold.
be RNS when they're able to be.
Okay, so there's nothing new from.
Nothing that I can disclose publicly.
Garden Eureka mine? Was anything happening on that? Is that up and operational?
No, it's not. Eureka Mine, I think people...
You closed it down in 2000.
Sorry?
You closed it down in 2000, basically. It was closed
Eureka?
down. Yeah.
No, Eureka was closed down in 2000
Yeah.
because it was not economic at the time.
Right.
When we entered into the acquisition, I think it was in March of last year, or April of last year, there's a $30 million capex spend that foreign currency for gold, and this is the thing that people don't quite understand about the availability of funding for gold projects in Zimbabwe versus diamonds or platinum or coal or chrome or anything else. Under the current policy, and this is quite interesting, that only 55% of your revenue generated can be used for repurchasing foreign equipment. At the moment in Zimbabwe, the problem is that everything is paid in dollars, whether it be your labour, your contractors, your diesel, your reagents, your cyanide, no matter what it is, you have to pay in dollars. Now, up until now, there's been an inability to convert the RTGS, which is what's called the Zimbabwe dollar equivalent, into hard currency because of the lack of currency in the market, and the Fidelity was only paying 55% in dollars and 45% in RTGS. On a gold operation, nobody makes 45% margin, so therefore there was a lack of liquidity in the gold sector where you are obliged to sell to Fidelity, which is the government refinery. So when you look at gold as a standalone, it's almost impossible to operate. Therefore, the money that was being generated by Pigson all of the foreign currency was being reinvested for overheads. Therefore, to get a foreign loan to enable Eureka to grow, you needed foreign currency from abroad. The lending potential within Zimbabwe was there to borrow the full 30 million. However, getting foreign currency to acquire all that equipment is not available at this point in time, which has led the company to reassess its position and standpoint on the gold production within Zimbabwe.
Okay, well, from what I understand from the website, you own 23.75% of Eureka.
Correct.
And the reason you closed down is because it wasn't economic. Just
No,
like you said.
sorry, no, we didn't close it down.
So
We didn't own it.
the other partner.
The other partner did,
Yeah.
and that's because they were using a heap leach rather than a proper processing. So they were mining it, milling it, and putting it on a heap leach. The heap leach is quite intensive, it requires sulfuric acid, and you get your leaching, and it wasn't economically viable. It was actually the wrong form of production, crushing and heap leaching. If you run a normal crushing milling plant, cyanide, then it became economically viable. That was the historical owner's problem.
Yeah, but also the economic conditions.
And also the
prices were
economic
quite
conditions were quite different in 2000 as they were in 2018. So there were a lot of factors in Eureka. Eureka is a very good mine with a very big resource, and done properly it can be extremely profitable.
Would it be wise to just walk away from Eureka, maybe sell that 23% and
Well, I mean,
put that on sale?
what's the 23% worth? We didn't actually put anything in there.
Yeah.
It was 100% debt from Sub-Saharan. So
Okay.
what are you selling? You're selling your debt?
That's the problem.
So, yeah, exactly. So that's why...
So it's tied to the Sub-Saharan loan, basically.
Exactly.
You've got a charge on that.
Everything's tied in, yeah.
Okay. Therefore, if you start selling it, then obviously they'll call up that loan.
Well, I mean,
3 points.
it's not just that. There's other factors. They have first right of refusal. Then you have to pay back Sub-Sahara on that portion of the 23.75, $6.7 million that was borrowed for the acquisition, $6.8 million of the acquisition. So it's actually quite complicated. So the board is now considering its position overall on the gold project.
Okay, so putting aside Eureka, maybe looking at Pixel, can that be sold? Can that be
Again,
on the market?
I
I know it's going to take a while to sell an asset. It's not going to happen, but at least we make the intention that we're going to sell an asset.
Well,
Maybe if you sell it at a discount, maybe like $5 million.
anything's
That would
possible.
prevent us from
As I
diluting
said, we're
shares.
considering our position on all aspects of Sub-Sahara and the gold assets in Zimbabwe at this point.
Okay.
And when we have something to announce, it will be announced via the normal channels of our
Okay, and then what's your plan in clearing that debt with Sub-Saharan?
I mean,
There's only like 3.75 million left.
3.4.
3.4.
Yeah. As I said, that was part of the trip. The reason for me being over there was to clarify our position overall.
Any progress on that?
Oh, definitely. And it'll be announced via RNS.
A question for with BP, you always said it was 6 months to kind of get going. Is it 6 months? Has that started yet, the actual 6 months, or is it going to start when you
Look,
get on?
theoretically, the 6 months started from when we started working. We've been working on the ground there, we've got employees there, it starts working. The problem is the long lead items, which are subject to the financing option. Now, what people fail to realise is that, yes, we can go out there, and as I said, there are 3 or 4 off-takers, there are funding solutions, but the company has always been victim, and, you know, and everyone's responsible for this, for finding the quickest and fastest and easiest solution rather than the best long-term solution for the business. The company, the board, directors and management are now focused on what is in the best interest of the business itself, not what's the fastest solution to make the market happy. So those two things quite often get mixed up. So it's more important that we are maybe delayed in the eyes of some shareholders, but those who are understanding are larger shareholders who understand a little bit better what we're doing, understand that what we're trying to achieve is in the best interest of the company rather than a short-term fix. We're looking for long-term solutions now, and we're looking at a restructuring of the entire business overall along those same lines.
How does that compare with your 3 to 6 weeks timeline you issued in various podcasts?
I mean,
So are you talking about 3 months, 6 months?
No, we're talking about extended periods of time. At the moment, we are still working within various timelines, but we're assessing our options at this point in time, and after this meeting, we're having a board meeting to discuss our options to see which one we're moving forward. So the 6 months is technically started, but there are certain long lead, high-cost items that can take 3 to 4 months. They're the ones that are going to potentially take us past that 6 months from when we first talked at the beginning of the year.
So there's still a possibility you could be actually buying from there this year?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just mention the big shareholders.
Yes.
Is there any shareholder that's owned more than 3% of the shares?
Yes, there are several.
And is it not, looking at your financial statement, it's not there.
No, but this year they are. There have been TR1s issued this year already.
On 2018?
2019.
19.
Yeah, there are shareholders in excess of 3%. There are some sitting at 2.9%, some sitting at 2.75%, and collectively they're about 20 or 25% of the shareholders.
I'm sorry, to be clear, it's announcements on RNS which you need to look at,
Yeah.
not for the announcement.
Yes.
So they're on
They're on
a
a special
special TR1.
There's only one shareholder above 3%, according to the...
As an individual, yes.
Yes.
A Romanian citizen, right?
Yes, sir.
And he actually bought it at market price, or
He bought it all on market.
Why can you buy it not on market price if you can have it?
Sorry?
I said, why can you buy it not market price if you can have it?
No, it was-
Everybody buys
No,
it.
he bought- I mean,
services or something.
No, they did buy, and it was public at 0.645, a considerable amount back in October last year, and they've been buying through the market, just in retail, ever since.
How the off-take discussions are going?
Well, nothing's changed, just negotiation.
Any insight into what exactly? I mean, you had something like 5 or 6 or 7.
Still do. Actually,
Uptake.
every day they're growing, believe it or
Yep.
not. As I
So
said,
what's
we're now
the
looking at
impact
the
each
best. Look, a quick and fast solution is not necessarily the best solution for the company. There are alternative solutions that we are investigating and daily, basically balancing what is the best way forward. And that's what we need to do as a business. We're not going to be beholden to immediate pressure. I have to admit the error of giving timelines, and that's stopping as of what we said that last meeting. And as you can see, the communication directly with shareholders will only be via PR. Announcements will be only via RNS, and statements will be given without timelines. Some retail will not like that, but that is just unfortunately the way it has to be from now on, because now we are focused on the best interests of the company, not necessarily on the best interests of certain individuals who want news that they like to hear. So, you know, restructuring a business is not an easy task. It's been a difficult 12 months. There are a lot of things that have come up during the course of the last 12 months that have caused delays in the ability to fund and the ability to find the right partners. Those are all being cleaned up, and we look forward to announcing in the near future what we're doing moving forward, not only on the offtake but also on the finance, and maybe they may not be interconnected, they may be separate items.
What's the forecast for the financial statement this year in terms of profit? Because looking at 2018, looking at the structure of the revenues, vis-a-vis the cost of sales, it's too high. And when you're looking at financial statement, you are looking for an investor to come in.
Yes.
If we want to come into the conventional banking,
Yes.
if we have a very healthy financial statement, they tend to come in. But looking at that, what I have on 18, it's a little bit, compared to industry
Very
average,
excessive.
it's out of place.
That's correct.
Going forward now, what's your projection for?
Well, I mean, this is part of the discussion with the board later on this afternoon. We've had this, is cleaning up the balance sheet and making it a lot more structured and more conducive for institutional investment. So So yes, there will be quite a large and substantial change to the way we report our business.
Is there still 2 or 3 prepayment off-take finances still?
I would say there's more.
Is there anything happening at Manila at the moment?
Good question. It's still cold, but we're getting ready for the restart.
It hasn't been restarted
It
yet.
hasn't been restarted. It was always programmed for March.
Where was that?
In Manila. The polymetallic mine in Romania.
Romania.
If there are no more questions, I
Do you
think
have
that...
Plenty of questions.
public relations?
Sorry?
Do you have a good public relations company which can, boost the public awareness of the potential?
Oh, definitely. We have a fantastic public relations company, but a public relations company is only as good as the information
Oh
they
yes,
provide.
I agree.
We can't say anything different because their representatives are sitting here. Speak to them afterwards, if you like.
We're actually,
Charming ladies.
look, as I said late last year and earlier this year, we are in the process of redesigning the website, making it more interactive, making things a lot easier for people and investors to see within the social media and the PR. That's been designed. Unfortunately, hasn't been a major priority of the directors the last few weeks because there are other things that are more important, but it is ongoing and it will be fairly soon. Yes?
I realise there are more questions, but I think I would like to declare the formal part of the meeting closed and just take questions personally because they all seem to be coming to Andrew anyway.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your attendance. I hope we won't be seeing you again for a similar purpose in the near future.
Yeah.
Something we agree on.
Definitely.
Thank you. Well, as the meeting is now closed, could we please have all the cameras switched off? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric?
Yep.
Thank you. Anything from you other than goodbye?
I'm still here. Will you let me know when to rejoin?
Yes, definitely.
Yes,
We'll
because
contact
it'll be a
you.
little while, I think, before we can start a board meeting. So
Okay.
we'll talk to you in a minute, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, bye.
Bye-bye.
Sure. Bye.
Do you want to get the technician to move it to the main table? We should get the technician to take it to the board table.
Yeah, well, we could turn this into a rotation and drop down.
Yeah, let's do that. It's easier.
Oh, Jesus, it's like dishwater, isn't it? All right. Cameras off and personal questions.
You're going to give us the juicy stuff. Now the cameras are off.